A car stolen out of Golden ended up crashing into a porch in Denver. It happened as officers were trying to stop that driver. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Kim Christensen. Officers on a task force meant to tackle car thefts tracked that car across the metro area. 9 News reporter Ria Jha joins us with that story. Ria?
Yeah, undercover investigators tracked the suspect all the way from Golden to Denver, and while that might seem like a far way to drive, the auto theft task force says it's something they do often.
Never a dull day in Chaffee Park, that's for sure.
One alert is normal.
I just started getting blink notifications.
Dylan Shinta's Blink security camera notifies him when someone's out there. And on April 1st, he was expecting a delivery.
So I just thought that was it, but then it just kept going blink, 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 blink. So I'm like, somebody's in my front yard. This can't just be a delivery. And that's where I pulled up my phone and I just saw
This wasn't what he ordered.
And I just see a car halfway through my front porch. The fence was completely ripped out. I had a front porch railing here that was completely knocked over.
Officers had deployed a grappler to stop a stolen car they'd been tracking, and they say the suspect unexpectedly swerved.
I'm mostly lucky that it missed my house, so if it hit my house, it'd be a completely different story.
Police arrested her shortly after she ran out of the car. Dylan later found out they had actually been following her for some time.
I guess they were trailing her all the way from Golden. They're all undercover cops.
We're in street clothes. We go around in covert vehicles.
Commander John Pickard is in charge of the Metro Area Auto Theft Task Force, the group of law enforcement officers from different agencies who tackled this case.
Golden Police Department found the vehicle, and when the car took off, we were able to follow it.
John says for his team, an undercover pursuit from Golden to Denver isn't out of the ordinary.
We followed some people as many as 2 and 3 hours because they just won't pull over. And so there's a lot of patience. A lot of tactical work to it.
Because he says stopping the stolen cars usually ends up netting more than just the car.
70 to 80% of all your crimes involve stolen vehicles. So it's not just auto theft, it's burglary, it's robbery, it's homicide.
They captured her, they got her, so that was their number one task. I got no qualms about it.
Officers say they tried conducting a traffic stop with the lights and the sirens, but when she didn't stop, they decided to deploy the grappler device. Court records show the suspect in this case was also wanted in other jurisdictions for drug-related charges. Ria Jha, 9 News.
Colorado State Patrol has not issued any tickets for yesterday's pileup on I-70 near the Eisenhower Tunnel. It sent 8 people to the hospital, 1 with serious injuries. In an update this evening, the agency now estimates 60 to 70 vehicles were involved. It will likely take months to figure out who's liable for the medical and repair bills. Colorado allows more than one driver to be deemed at least partially at fault in the crash. In this case, there were dozens of drivers involved. The insurance companies have a financial interest in determining whether their clients should have medical or repair bills covered by someone else. That's a result of Colorado's comparative fault law, and it's why attorney Phil Harding believes the blame could ultimately be spread among multiple drivers.
Maybe someone stopped that started this chain of event. They may be attributed 30, 40, 50% at fault. But then that insurance company would say, well, wait a second, even though we might have hit something, whoever was behind us should have left enough space so that you could stop in time. And if you didn't, then you're partially at fault as well.
Colorado State Patrol says the primary factor in the crash was wet, heavy snow. The agency also says vehicles were going too fast for conditions, following too closely, and didn't have the right tire tread depth.
Grinnell Pass is set to reopen tomorrow. According to Clear Creek County, this will be the earliest that mountain pass has opened since seasonal closure started there. It typically opens around Memorial Day. Meteorologist Kathy Sabins along. What better way to celebrate the early opening of Grinnell Pass than with snow?
Right? And probably the next day closure.
It's going to be a solid 24-hour opening, though. It is. It's going to be a solid 24 hours before it closes again. But, you know, hey, it'll be cool for a day. Outside right now, we have fair skies and light winds. It was a lovely day today. Tomorrow will be warmer and windy at times ahead of a storm that brings cold and snow. Temperatures this 10 o'clock hour are still in the 50s and 60s. Typically, this would be our high temperature for the day. Winds calmer at the surface, but picking up over elevated terrain ahead of the weather maker that will produce those changes on Friday. Cold air will come in with this system 24 hours from now. Not much happening tonight. You'll have sunshine, a few passing clouds tomorrow. Mountain snow picks up in the northern mountains late in the day. Denver won't see the front and that snow until early Friday morning. It'll continue for much of the day, and when that snow moves out Friday night, that's when temperatures drop like a rock and a hard freeze is forecast. Not tonight, though. Temperatures in the 40s overnight, 50s at the bus stop. Coming up, another check of the radar ahead of a windy, warm Thursday. Snow, accumulating snow possible in Denver on Friday. More on that and the deep freeze coming up in just a bit.
Denver police now say a man shot and killed by an officer last week was armed with a BB gun, not a real rifle. That shooting happened last Tuesday on South Quitman Street near West Mississippi and South Tennyson. DPD says they were responding to a call about a man with a gun. They say he hid in an alley, not complying with demands to drop the gun. Officers say he eventually came out, moved toward them, and pointed his gun, but did not fire. That's when an officer shot and killed him. Today, Denver police say officers weren't sure in that moment if that gun was real. Denver police identified the man as 58-year-old Frank Martinez. They say the officer who shot him has been with DPD since 2019 and has not been involved in any other police shootings.
Denver City Council is working to reduce the punishments for misdemeanor and petty offenses because the state Supreme Court says that city penalties can't be any harsher than state law. That means that crimes like shoplifting less than $300 worth of stuff, trespassing, prostitution would drop to a maximum of 10 days in jail and a $300 fine. The same would apply to business license violations, say penalties for slumlords, dropping from $999 and 300 days in jail to those 10 days. Denver City Council members haven't been able to agree on how to structure the new penalties, so they're tabling any decision till the middle of next month.
The city of Denver is moving forward with a plan to bring in a new company to rent out scooters and bikes. A proposed 3-year contract with the company called VO passed out of City Council today. It was stalled there a couple of times as council members said they needed to read the contract. They needed more time to review it. The city is choosing to go with a single company to replace both Bird and Lime. Today, Council President Amanda Sandoval had a question about that.
What happens if VO goes bankrupt? What happens?
If they fail to meet their service level agreement, we can bring in a second operator.
The contract is scheduled to go before the full City Council later this month. If it's approved, VO will start putting out scooters on May 1st, providing a 2-week overlap when Lime and Bird are phased out. The city says the current low-income access program that offers free rides will continue.
Denver's making a change that could have us stopping at more red lights overnight. City traffic engineers are adjusting traffic signals on major roads to intentionally create more red lights in the late night hours. They're trying to slow down drivers with the hope of reducing serious crashes. In the past, many of those lights would just stay green until a driver triggered a change to cross safely. Now, lights on Federal, Alameda, and Colorado are cycling every 90 seconds. Denver's transportation department says the early results show a 14% decrease in overnight crashes on Federal, a 21% drop on Alameda.
I think what we hope to see is less serious injury and fatal crashes on our roadways and still keep people moving. Those high-speed serious injury crashes are what we really are focusing on and we're trying to prevent. And
the city says they plan to make signal changes on those stretches of Havana, Hamden as well. Engineers say they'll monitor to see if the changes lead to fewer serious crashes overnight.
The city of Denver has already started the process of permanently removing Cesar Chavez's name from the holiday in his honor. They'll also rename the park on the city's west side. It's all after an investigation by the New York Times found the late labor leader sexually abused women and girls. Now people in the city's Westwood neighborhood are making changes of their own.
9 News reporter Colton Chavez shows us how they're working to make their own statement.
It's a community whose story is told through the murals on Morrison Road.
Literally on every single building.
In the southwest Denver neighborhood of Westwood,
there's going to be art everywhere.
A new chapter is being painted.
We have a lot of issues that we are trying to fight together, but there's also issues within our own community.
Local artist Alina Rivera, known to her community as
Leans is cool,
says they're painting over the Cesar Chavez mural on the side of Carlos Restaurant, with plans to paint a new mural in the future.
You know, we're not trying to erase history or, the fact that he was like a trailblazer in the Chicano movement.
New sexual misconduct allegations against the civil rights leader came to light last month.
But we are trying to highlight, a lot of stories that go unheard, especially when it comes to women in the Chicano movement.
They shared those stories as the community bonded over brushes.
They could be personal or they could be like within your family or in your community. But then, we have to have those discussions again, as I said, about, the trauma and the hurt that comes with certain leaders and figures.
The murals on Morrison Road have long captured this community story. Now, these women say it's time their voices are part of that canvas.
I feel like us collectively as women, 3 different artists, it's such an honor.
As for what the new mural will look like, I'm told the community is going to come together and they're going to decide that, and that will be painted on Cinco de Mayo. In Denver, Colton Chavez, 9 News.